Hi, my name is Alexa.
I'm Mackenzie.
Hi, my name is Nathan.
And in this video we will be talking about Spain. When using the country comparison tool, we are shown that Spain varies when understanding its culture. We find high scores in uncertainty avoidance and power distance, and low scores in individualism, masculinity, long-term orientation, and intelligence. In this video, we will communicate and discuss information about Spain and its culture and intercultural communication challenges, language and culture as well, and the nonverbal communication, and lastly the conflict styles and conflict management.
Communication is a vital part of forming a relationship between any number of people. But does the vitality of communication make it easy? No, especially when handling communication between different cultures. But why? One reason for this is that stereotyping plays a prominent role in one culture's view of another. According to R.E. Silverman, stereotypes are overly simplified conceptions, images, or beliefs about specific social groups. Sometimes stereotypes are true, but other times they can be wildly false. This is how challenges in intercultural communication arise. It is not uncommon for stereotypes of other cultures to be represented in the media. For example, the US media portrays Spain as a place where people skip work to drink sangrias at the beach, dance the flamenco, and love bullfighting. The most notorious stereotype is that Spaniards are extremely lazy and take breaks from work every day to take long naps or siestas. As you can see, stereotypes have the potential to create a great deal of conflict when trying to establish cross-cultural relationships. So how do we move past the stereotypes we've been told and gain an honest understanding of the communication styles and values of a specific culture? A great place to start is by examining a culture's communication value dimensions. This is important because, as New Leaf writes, when people from different cultures come together to interact, their messages are guided by and reflect their fundamental value orientations. When it comes to the Spanish culture, their value dimensions actually work to counteract and disprove their most common stereotypes. For example, the stereotype that Spaniards would skip work to go out and party is counteracted by their value dimension of uncertainty avoidance. According to Hofstede Insights, Spain ranks very high on uncertainty avoidance, which means they do not like ambiguity and unknown situations. This suggests that it is unlikely for Spanish people to willingly threaten their job security to go to a party. Another example of a value dimension in Spain is indulgence versus restraint, which combats the stereotypes that say the Spaniards are very loud and boisterous, like to eat and drink, and love to party. Spain ranks low on the indulgence scale, which suggests that Spain is more of a restrained society, doesn't overemphasize leisure activities, and likes to focus energy into succeeding at work and school. Now that we have a good foundation for understanding communication in Spain, let's consider how the language and culture interact with each other.
Language is important and unique because humans are the only species capable of speaking it. According to Sapir-Whorf hypotheses, he suggests that the language of the particular culture is directly influenced how people think. The words people use to describe fundamental experience differ from language to language. The Spanish language has a unique implication on Spanish culture. It is one of the 5 Romance languages. The Romance languages are derived from Vulgar Latin and can be tracked to the Roman Empire, suggesting a historical significance. Spanish is spoken by about 360 million people worldwide, but the number of dialects make the language in Spain different from the Spanish spoken in Latin American culture. Since there are so many dialects, it would be incorrect to say that the common language spoken between Spain and Latin America means the culture is also shared. To explain the language and culture portion of this video, we studied 3 idioms. When understanding the Spanish language and culture, we notice that the language that is spoken is Spanish. However, it can differentiate to Spanish that is spoken in other countries. They may use words to explain one thing, but this same word can have a completely different meaning when using it in another country. The few idioms that we found were no tener pelos en la lengua, which means to say something bluntly. However, when translating to English, it means not to have hairs in your mouth. Secondly, we found lo dijo de labios para afuera, which means to say something and not mean it. However, when translating it to English, it means from saying something from your mouth and out. And lastly, we found el hábito no hace la monja, which relates to the church and has a meaning of simply by going to church it does not make one a believer. However, its literal meaning is the habit does not make one a monk. Now that we have seen language and culture in Spain, we will now look into nonverbal communications that are used in Spain.
According to Nulia, nonverbal communication focuses on the messages people send to one another that do not contain words, such as messages sent through body motion, eye contact, touch, and vocal qualities. Kinesics is the study of non-linguistic body motions and how they pertain to communication. For the culture of Spain, it is much different than the United States. Make sure that when you are having a conversation with someone in Spain, do not shrug your shoulders while they are talking. They view this as you disagreeing with what they are saying and can be considered very rude.
So today I went to school, I got up, I did my hair, I did my makeup.
That's awesome. It's really cool.
I know, I had such a productive day.
That's awesome.
So today, I got up and I did my hair and did my makeup. So, do you not care what I'm saying? Do you not care about my life?
Proxemics is the study of how space can influence communication and the way space is taken up while in a social setting. Spain is very lenient with their view on proxemics, especially in a one-on-one conversation, which is said to be very close and intimate between the two parties.
So today I'm gonna go do Christmas shopping and get a whole bunch of other things. And yeah, that's basically my afternoon tonight.
Awesome.
So today I'm gonna go do Christmas shopping and other things.
Oculesics is the study of how people use their eyes in conversation. Eye contact is another nonverbal code difference between the US and Spain culture. It communicates meanings about respect and status and often regulates turn-taking during interactions. According to Hebsky, in the US we understand eye contact conveys that we are paying attention and showing respect. We have more eye contact when we are listening and less when we are speaking. However, in Spain, they maintain more eye contact when speaking and less when listening. Another difference in eye contact is that people stare more often in Spanish culture, and this is accepted. Paralinguistics is the study of verbal cues outside of the actual content of the speech. These cues include volume of voice, speed of voice, pronunciation, and tone. People in Spain are known for talking loudly and passionately when interacting with each other.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to go on Christmas break. What about you?
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
I know,
wait.
I know.
Yeah,
Go
I know. I'm
home.
so excited. I can't wait.
Oh my god, I'm so excited that we're gonna go on Christmas break. I'm ready to go home.
Whoa. Lower your voice.
Haptics is a communication form of touch. In Spain, it is very normal for someone to touch somebody while talking to them. However, if you were to touch another person while talking in Spain, it is customary to grab their arms rather than another part of their body, such as the face, shoulders, or head.
Es que no entiendes. Oh my god, can you believe it?
Whoa. Don't touch the face.
Chronemics is how people use their time in their everyday lives. The way Spain uses time is vastly different to the way that Westerners use their time. Time to Spaniards is more of a loose idea than in the West. Spain is polychromic, which means that they view time very loosely and don't live and die by the clock in order to have meaningful interactions with other people.
It's 12:45. She said she'd be here at 12:30.
What's up?
Hey, how's it going? Ready for a night? It's gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
let's go.
Yeah. Where is she, man? She's late. I can't even believe this.
What's up?
Why are you so late? I can't believe you're 15 minutes late.
Oh my god,
Messing-
I'm so
messing up
sorry.
the time.
I'm sorry.
The physical attire of a person can give off huge messages between people without any words being spoken. What you choose to wear and how you wear it can reflect on you in any way, positive or negative, because of initial judgments that run through people's minds. In Spain, they tend to dress more on the elegant side as well as conservatively, so it's important to avoid flashy and bright colors as well as avoiding dressing messily.
Conflict is a natural part of communicating, though styles and management are different in every culture. Conflict is experienced daily, large and small, and intercultural relationships are no exception. As Newleaf writes, often conflict stems from our inability to see another person's point of view, particularly if that person is from a different culture. Based on this idea alone, it would seem sensible to assume that things like value dimensions, language, and nonverbal communication all play roles in conflict styles and management. And speaking of conflict management, a recent conflict has occurred in Spain that provides some great insight into how the Spanish culture handles conflict. Before we get too far into the conflict, however, we need to understand a few things about Spain. First, Spain is split up into multiple autonomous communities that each have their own histories and languages, and the community we will be looking into is known as Catalonia. Next, the Spanish Popular Party, the political party that is currently governing the Spanish state, is actively anti-Catalan. And finally, Catalonia desires to secede from Spain and become its own country. At first glance, it seems like secession is a dramatic step to take, but exploring a bit deeper reveals a great deal of cultural tension that has inevitably led to a high amount of conflict. Catalonia is a multicultural, pluralistic society that strives to preserve their economic, historic, cultural, and linguistic status. But the Spanish state, which does not hold the same cultural values and ideals, has done everything it can to make secession as difficult as possible, with the main tactic being the refusal to recognize Catalan as an official language of Spain. A conflict as serious as this one, while it seems impossible to manage, actually could be quite manageable if each party's values and conflict styles are taken into account. For example, Spain is high on the value dimension of power distance, which means that there is a hierarchical view of authority. Those in positions of power expect to be listened to, and in this case, the Spanish Popular Party likely does not feel like this expectation is being met, which inevitably causes the conflict to worsen. In order to begin to resolve an issue like this, it could be helpful to apply the face negotiation theory. As Newley puts it, the concept of face refers to a sense of favorable self-worth or self-image experienced during communicative situations. Taking this, as well as the fact that Spain ranks in the middle of the individualism versus collectivism scale, one could conclude that an agreement in which both parties have a favorable sense of self-image would be the best case scenario for managing not only this conflict, but any other conflict in the Spanish culture.
In conclusion, we have discussed many different cultural ideals in the country of Spain, such as different nonverbal cues as well as the do's and don'ts of nonverbal interaction through the lens of Spanish culture, which can help with the assimilation process. We reviewed how language pertains to Spanish culture, which should give you a good surface understanding of language and interaction while in Spain. We also discussed different value dimensions held in Spain, which can help in understanding the ideals of the people that you will be meeting while in Spain, as well as different ways to deal with conflict management while in Spain, which can help lead to a better experience.